Containers accordion. With this component, you can easily create accordions where you have different panels that you can expand one at a time. First, we see the basic version where we have these triggers, which is links. When we click on one of these, the content will expand beneath it. In this basic example, only one can be expanded at a time, and you can close and open one again. You can also specify an active state, so that will be open when the page loads. You can have a disabled state, so the user can't click on the accordion. You can set the accordion to be multi-expand, so that you can expand as many as you want. And when you click on any one, the others will stay open. You can also allow all to be closed. So here we open only one at a time, but if we have one open, we can click it again to close it. That wasn't possible with the basic version. Then we can define the animation time for the panels. We can see that this animates in a slower tempo. We can use deep link. If we click to open a panel here, we can see that we have a deep link, a hash appended to the URL up here in the address bar. So we can actually use that as a direct link. So if we open up a new tab, we can see that that tab has now been expanded as a default because we're using the deep link functionality. We can also adjust the browser history. So now I click to expand the second one, third one, and first one. Now when I go back or forward through the browser history, it will open and close these panels that I just clicked on. This is how you can use the browser history with the accordion component. Now let's get started and create all of this. So we go into our code editor and we start with creating our basic example. So we have a div tag or a URL tag. Since this is a list of elements, we give it the class accordion and also the data accordion attribute to hook it up with the JavaScript functionality. Inside of this, we'll first add a list item with the class accordion item and the data accordion item attribute. Then we'll close the list item tag. Then we'll create the trigger, which will be a link, the trigger to open up the panel. We'll give it the class accordion title and the text accordion title. Close the A tag again. Now we'll create our content using a div tag with the class accordion content and the data tab content attribute. Now inside of this we can create our content. So I'll just paste in some random text here. Now I'll copy this list item, paste it in a few times. Let's save, go back into the browser and refresh. Here we see our accordion where we can open one at a time. And as I said earlier, we can't close one when it's been opened. But if we refresh the page, we can see that it's allowed to be fully closed on page load, but we can't close it again. Now let's see how we can change settings for the accordion. We'll copy all of our code here. First we'll specify the active state, which one should be open when the page loads. So we'll select this first item here and add the class is active. This will now be open on page load. So let's take a look. We can see that the first tab here is open on page load. Now let's take a look at the disabled state. Paste in all the code here again. And we want to make the whole accordion disabled, so we add the disabled attribute to the parent element up here. Let's save, go back and refresh. Now we can see we can click on anything and the cursor changes to show the user that this has been disabled. Let's see how we can use multi-expand, so we can expand as many as the panels as we want, and they won't close the other open ones. Or paste in the full code here. And now on the parent element, we'll add the data multi-expand attribute with the value being true. The default is false. Let's save this, go back and refresh. Now we can see when we click one and then another one, it won't close the first one. It will stay open. We can open up as many as we want. And we can close them again, but there always needs to be one open. We can change that so we can allow all of the open panels to be closed. Let's do that now. Paste in the code. And on the parent element, we'll add the data allow all closed attribute with the value being true. The default is false. Let's save this, go back and refresh. Now we can see we open one up, another and a third. And now let's close this third one so all of them is closed. We can see that it's now possible. Let's take a look at animation time for panels. We'll paste in the full code here. And now we'll change the sliding speed when we open or close a panel. To do this, we add the data slide speed attribute to the parent element and we give it a value of milliseconds. So let's add 500 milliseconds will be the time. I'll refresh. Now we can see when we open this up, it's closer than the other. It's slower than the other ones. The other one is rather quick and this new one is rather slow. We will now continue and see how we can create the deep link functionality with our accordion. So in the code editor, we paste in the code for the basic accordion and then we add the data deep link attribute with the value true. Now we must also add some values for the href attribute of our anchor text and IDs to the accordion content tabs. So we'll add the value accordion deep link panel 1. Now let's copy this and add an ID with the same value. Insert the value here and change the number to 2. Add an ID, the same value and number 2. And in the third item here, we add the same value and change the number to 3. Alright, now we should be able to test this in the browser. Notice what happens to the address bar when we click one of the panels. We can see that the link is added up there. So if we use this link and open it from in another window, for example, we can see that it's already being expanded. That is how you can use the deep link functionality. You can also do something called deep link smudge, which I'll show you right now. It's a way to scroll to the currently open tab in that accordion when you access it from another page. So first we add the data deep link smudge attribute with the value true. Now we'll just update these values here so it won't conflict with the previous example. So I'll change the value to accordion deep link smudge panel. Let's save this, go back and refresh. Now we see something that looks similar, but notice that when we copy this link and open up a new page, paste it in, we can see that it is scrolling down to that accordion with the open with the open panel that is selected by the deep link. Finally, let's take a look at browser history. Currently right now, if we go back, we go to a whole other page. So let's see how we can use the open and closing tabs as part of our browser history. In our code editor, we paste in the code from before. We'll remove the smudge functionality and instead add the data update history attribute with the value true. And then we'll update these values again. So it will be Accordion browser history panel. Of course, it can be anything that you want. Now let's save this, go back and refresh. Now we navigate through these tabs here. And now notice what happens when I use the history arrows up here in the browser. It will change tab. So each open and closing tab will be a part of the browser history. That's how you can use the accordion in various ways.